Hello, this is Nick Rollo. Welcome to the channel. I'm going to show you how I use a VU meter to mix and how I think it is actually a really amazing tool that can really help you by having some rules and kind of some conditions that you're following. And by following those things, you can make better mixes. That was a ramble. Let's get into it. Hit like, hit subscribe because you'll find this helpful. So I'm working with this just like lo-fi thing. I'm pretty sure I made a video with this beat. Okay, great. So I'm using this VU meter by Klanghelm, VUMT. There's a ton of VU meters, some are free. Studio One, for instance, has just like this one. They're all kind of the same, but kind of different. They sort of have different speeds of attack, but they show the same thing more or less. And basically the way that I'm using it is I have the VU meter at the start of my mix bus, and then I have all of the processing afterwards. Right now I'm just using the God Particle by Cradle because it's sick. If I have other plugins on my master bus, then it'll be before those. And basically the principle is this. I'm setting up into my mix bus chain, my master bus chain at certain volumes. Like I want the kick to hit a certain volume because that's kind of proving to be quite consistent when it's always at this particular value, and then that sort of gain staging will then mean my compressor hits at a certain level and my limiter hits at a certain level, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna turn this into just like a mono version because it's not like a perfect art, you know, it's all kind of trial and error. But the way that I'm using it right now, and this changes, and before we get into this, I'd just like to really emphasize that using things like templates, using rules and conditions is really useful, and it really speeds up your workflow. But make sure you're constantly questioning the things that you're doing. Is this the best way to do it? Change it, try other things. Oh, maybe I should try a different volume, or, you know, like, don't follow blindly. Don't follow what I'm doing blindly. Don't follow what you decided you wanted to do a few months or years ago blindly either. Like, constantly try and evolve it because it does change. You know, taste changes, how loud people want things changes if you're a mixing engineer or a producer or whatever. So constantly evolve it as an important rule. All right. I like to start with kick, and generally I'll be aiming for about 0 on a VU. So let's just solo the drums. So it's kind of hitting about +1, +2. There's a few ways we can tackle it. We can either go into the kick and turn the kick down, or if we're happy with, because right now I'm running everything into a bus with bus processing for the drums. If I'm happy with that, which in this case I think I am, I'm just going to turn down the bus until I hit that 0 on the kick. About there. Now, naturally, when it does a double kick, there's a bit more energy. A VU measures the voltage of a sound, so like the energy of it. So if there's 2 kicks in close space, I guess, it kind of pushes that energy a little bit louder. So it will go louder. It will go above 0 at that point. But for the single kicks, I'm really just looking at the single kicks. It doesn't matter if some go above or some go below. It's more that there's kind of a general level there. So that's 0.7. That's another thing you can do. Just hit it once, see what it does. Turn it down. 0.5. Let's go there. Nice. And now the bass for me changes. At one point I was doing the same as the kick, like 0 for the bass and 0 for the kick. For me, that's kind of changed. Sometimes I don't like the bass to be as loud as the kick, so sometimes I'm hitting it -3. That is something that I'm currently changing and working on. That's kind of the important message here, is that these things change. We mess around, we experiment. So let's see. And instruments that aren't a really simple transient, they're also going to have a far more fluctuating level of volume. So it's going to be harder in some ways to get it perfect. But again, this is just a guide. This is just to kind of get us in the ballpark, and then we can tweak. As you can see, that level goes way too loud. There's some weird energy thing going on in the low subs, I'm imagining. Well, that's kind of confusing, and that's something to look at. From a production standpoint, that's probably not great. I should look at that synth that I made, that bass synth, and try to stop that volume from going crazy. Compression might be the key. Perhaps it's something to do with the actual synthesis of it, but important to look at, and I wouldn't really be able to hear that very well unless I was looking at a VU meter. We'll try around here and we'll see. Oh, it's too loud. So maybe it being between -5 and -3 is good. Okay, that feels pretty good. And kind of to go further in on that, we could try now compressing that bass and seeing if we can get it a bit more consistent. I'm just gonna absolutely smash it. See if we can get it to -5. Oof, big hit there. So I think that second note is maybe here. I think this is the note that blooms. Yeah, so maybe if we turn that down a little bit. Just try to get the energy similar. There's going to be, again, fluctuations. Let's see how that feels. I'm gonna stop there because I could go far deeper and really try to make sure those notes are really even based on the EQ, but I'm not going to because that's a time-consuming process. But cool, that feels better. If I had vocals in this, I would also be sort of aiming for certain points on the VU meter there. Again, those are changing right now. Sometimes it's kind of generally somewhere between -10 and -5. I kind of start, I think, at about -7 with the vocal volume. Again, it's hard without a transient kind of heavy instrument. Looking at averages, just sort of, it's kind of like give or take, it's in that space. Sometimes it bumps up to -5, sometimes it's down to -10, but it's kind of hovering at -7. That tends to feel pretty good. Sometimes I'll push it louder, sometimes I'll pull it back. But it just kind of gives me like a guideline to work with. Mostly using it just for kick, sometimes snare, bass, get the bottom end of the song all set up. And then the other instruments, kind of just like, how loud do you want them? That's kind of where the taste comes in. It's too loud, let's turn it down. I just want to make sure that I can hear the kind of core elements here. In that case, in this case, that's the drums and the bass. I want to make sure that those are still audible as I turn other things on. That feels good. Nice. So that's how I'm currently using a VU meter. I hope you found this helpful. If you have, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. If you're in need of a producer or a mixing engineer, you can hire me. My website is in the description below. You can hear some of my work and then contact me there. If you use Studio One, I have a bunch of free presets, all for free, that you can download. Again, link in the description. Have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.